Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Prismata. We'll jump in the queue here and go watch Aaron Has Friends versus Megasup. Ace plus 5. Slow game. Megasup wants to get the Vi, which, you know, seems cool, but really hard to spend all that red afterwards. Who's winning? 14 income to 19. And the Trinities cancel out. Or the Conduits cancel out because they both have one Trinity to click. So, up like 5 drones, but down in attack and in defensive tempo. I worry that Megasup is going to be spending too long on just passively buying defenders, right? Wall and then Matrix, and in the meantime you haven't really done anything to your opponent. And may be too far behind in attackers to stabilize that difference. Vi would certainly help. It's gonna be tough to spend your blue on the Vi turn. I guess you're getting Vi borehole? Opponent should try to take the chance to attack for 6 next turn, like this, since we won't really be able to make our defense granular. Yeah, seems like a good turn for Aaron. Oh, that's right, this does spend our blue, because Vi costs blue. What was I thinking? Alright, this is an interesting turn. Suddenly we've caught up in attack. We already have a Matrix up. We can freeze opponent's Matrix if they build one. And the drone counts are very similar? Huh. God, Vi is such a good unit. I mean, Aaron has a little bit more green income, which is nice. And should really click 2 Pixies, yeah. So, substantially up on defensive tempo as well, although I guess freezing the Matrix is going to neutralize that advantage pretty quick, isn't it? Yeah, I feel like Aaron maybe pushed too hard by getting this extra patroller. Well, no, because we only had 1 blue. The problem is you want the Matrix the turn before opponent buys Vi, not after. So you can buy a second one. Here, opponent gets a really great Vi click. That's probably going to make up for every inefficiency that's happened so far. Right, it like... Well, hang on. Yeah, it killed the Vi click kills a force field. Vi is a 5 damage attacker this turn. Because without the click and without the Pixie, we'd be just dealing 4 damage, which is 0. With the click and without the Pixie, we're killing force field. Yeah. So I think the main challenge is going to be finding a way to make these 2 Animuses not look stupid. Right, if Aaron can manage a win from this, it will be because he hasn't invested $12 in like 1 good unit. Well, $12 plus the 13 here, of course. So far it doesn't look like we're making very good use of the Tarsier, but the Animuses, but I guess droning up is, you know, the way to try to get there, I guess. Anyway, Vi continues to be amazing, dealing 4 damage this turn. I wonder if Aaron should buy a second Matrix so that Vi doesn't get these clicks anymore. But then you're not advancing in attackers, right? You're just continuing to attack for exactly 4 into a Matrix? Yikes. 7, huh? I guess, sure, each click is killing an NG, so why not? Yeah, Tarsier Rhino seems fine. Aaron should attack for 6 again, which is killing the Rhino. Kinda stinks. I kinda wish we could force field, but... Well, maybe we could have force fielded and built Splitter instead of Patroller? No, we don't have enough money. The force field costs $1. Alright, there's the second Matrix, but... This turn, of course, you're going to lose the Matrix, right? When an opponent attacks for 9, what else are you supposed to do? Well, I mean, you could lose Wall, NG onto Matrix. That's probably the right idea, in fact. Yeah, that way you don't have to keep rebuilding matrices. You can go back to Patrollers. See, Q's going to defend like this, but that's a mistake. We'll see if Aaron fixes it. Yeah. Wow. I mean, Megasup is killing it here. This is a massacre. God, Vi's good. Right? Like, Aaron is killing a couple NGs per turn. El Scouta, that's who we played last game, right? Or is that who I watched before last game? I'm not sure. A lot of good soak in the top 3 units. A good aggressive attacker slash defender in Feral. And a really aggressive attacker in Plasma. I feel like charging straight into Plasmas is the wrong idea when there's this much soak lying around. You might get one eventually. But I think that Ferals, Grids, and Doom Drones are the way to start. And like, okay, Tarsiers too, of course. The question is, do we D1E? I think so. I like, this is a good build, right? Or a good opening. I don't super need a conduit on turn 3, so this is fine. Yeah, and if I do, I can just build it. Yeah, I'm gonna do this because of all this soak and some decent absorb. I think it's, and also an energy sink. I think it's well worth getting the 3rd engine here. Fourth is an interesting. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. So I could squeeze in the conduit like this. I think that's better than floating 3. And then next turn I can like triple drone Forge. Do I want the Forge yet? Not really. I'm happy to just defend on Ferals for a while. So triple drone Animus, even better. Okay. Haven't floated a single dollar since the beginning of the game, by the way. Just letting you know, I'm a pro Prismata player, you guys. On the other hand, my Doom Drone's dying with no obvious advantage, so there's that. Is this good? Do I want this many drones? What if I did something else instead? I don't know. What am I doing next turn? Like, Feral Tarsier is 9. I want a Forge. 14. I can't get 3 drones together with that. But I could get Drone Doomy Doomy. I think that's correct. Drone Doomy Doomy then is better than cutting a drone and replacing with Doomy here. Yeah, okay. Opponent doesn't believe in Ferals. I find that hard to believe. Like, I understand it was a bit awkward for you to get green early, but skipping it for blue? I think a conduit would be better here and upgrade one of these drones, one of these doomies to a real drone. There we go. This is the turn we had planned out. Seems good. I'll even have a Doom Drone dying next turn, which means it'll probably be reasonably comfortable to absorb on a second Feral while building up a grid. Also, I'm the one best able to threaten plasma fires, so that's something. How are the economy sizes? Very similar. I think this should be fine. Next turn, I expect opponent to have at least 6, perhaps 7 attack. That's basically just wall onto grid, which is fine, and I can build more Tarsiers. I'll need more tech somewhat soon, I think. Maybe not. Maybe I can just transition to polywalls as a way to spend my blue more expensively. We'll see. Here comes the green finally. I think I do want to just add a Gauss cannon. Yeah, I don't need more tech. I've been floating all this green. Let's start turning it into something useful. I don't think it's time to switch to rhinos because there's still all this great, like, the game's going to still be pretty slow. There's all this soak. We don't need soak from rhinos yet, and we do need a lot of long-term damage. Oh, that would be a very poor defense. Yeah. So, what's opponent at? 8 damage? Okay, that's not quite enough to build a polywall into. But it's very close. Nine, 10? 10 I can build a polywall into. And just keep building more attackers. I should keep an eye on Plasma Fire. That's still a thing I threaten, although I kind of need my blue for other things, so it's not very likely. There we go. We'll make him feel bad by holding this. Huh? I don't know, I'll just make the math easier for myself by clicking it, but I think this is what we want, right? Just keep buying Tarsiers because there are Tarsiers in... Actually, I could consider upgrading one of these to a Feral instead of to a Rhino. It's basically like buying a Tarsier and a Gauss charge. Why would I want a Gauss charge? Good question. It's not just a Gauss charge, though. It's defensive tempo later if I ever need to hold one of these. But I think just keeping the green is more important than doing that. Now, opponent can't buy a poly this turn because they have all these Doom drones dying, right? They would be absorbing for 12, and some Doom drones would die uselessly. I may have a similar problem next turn, but they're actually going to be attacking for 12, so... I mean, you can buy a poly, but not if you hold back these Doom drones. Whew, that's pretty sharp. Okay, maybe, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should have done the same. But no, I have Doom Drone holds, I have force fields. Yeah, and Ferals would have just sucked so bad because they would have given opponent permission to hold more Doom Drones. The extra damage would just be wasted. I would be paying $1 and a green to make them lose $1. Why would I do that, right? I think opponent may have the right idea with this second conduit. I might want one someday, although just at the moment, I have a lot of spare green to work with, so it doesn't seem that great. These Ferals are actually doing something now compared to Tarsiers, so I think that's good. Finish buying out the Doom Drones, and then... You know what, let's make this a Rhino so I have some more green next turn, and I can try to squeeze in another conduit maybe soon. I won't mind having Soak 2 turns from now, I'm quite sure. In fact, maybe this one could be a Rhino, to be honest. Just save even more green. Yeah, I'll try that. Yeah, Soak is going to be pretty dang valuable. And I'm not willing to pay a force field for the ability to have a Tarsier instead of a 2 health, or a 2 health blocker, basically, 2 turns from now. Green's just too valuable to be spending it on getting Ferals instead of Rhinos right now, I think. They could keep 3 alive, which I assume is their Feral. Ah, 2 alive now. I see. That's why they wanted to hold the Doom Drone, is to keep a Feral alive. Yikes. But I'm pretty sure I can attack for everything, so... If I can't, I'm pretty sad. Anyway, this kills an attacker. Or, they could choose to, no, it doesn't. How did this happen? What did they do? Oh yeah, of course it does. They could choose to absorb onto Feral and keep the other Feral. That's a thing I should consider. It's an option that they have. Oh, whoops, hang on. This is being clicked. Now that's not even an option that they have. Wait, they didn't kill my Polywall. That's why I have so much defense. Do I think I'm okay with that. Maybe I'm not, because then I can't absorb next turn. I think I should do this. How does that turn out? Well, they certainly found a way to waste my time. Anyway, they're attacking for probably 2 less, but at least 1 less. This defends. And the Rhinos protect against the Gambit. Yeah, I don't think I want to have 2 Polywalls. They would just be denying me too much absorb. It was a good play by them, though, to... Well, maybe. Assuming I was right to absorb onto Grid, it was a good play for them to offer me absorb onto Polywall, because I think it would have been a mistake. But it's a tough call. Right? They would have been pretty happy, I think, to attack for 12. I would be gaining 2 extra absorb that turn, but losing 3 absorb this turn. Because they would just click both polys, and they'd get to hold back Splitter, have more defensive tempo, etc., etc. But it certainly made me spend some time. Like, you don't get opportunities like that too often, and I wanted to make sure that if it was good, I actually took it. Here, they're losing almost certainly 1, but perhaps 0 attack. So again, this defends, and like rhinos are good. Hang on, what's going on? The game looks very, like, I don't know, the numbers are all pretty similar right now. I'm doing 16, they're doing 16. But they look like they're losing some. I have this rhino tempo coming. I have more doom drones dying off, but less leftover income, I guess. Less green income, more green supply. I'm trying to figure out if we're in some kind of loop that I should be trying to break, but I think things are looking good for me right now because of the rhino tempo. So I'm happy to not stir the pot. Is that what the... not rock the boat, I guess, is closer to what I meant? They're really using up a lot of green on these ferals. I mean, I'm buying Force Field Rhino, which is a little bit lame, I guess. Here they lose at least 1, probably 2 attack. This gambits well. No. Rhino supply is running low. But this turn I didn't spend any green. Amazing. Ah! I don't think I should let them do that. Should I? No, I have enough attack that they'd be happy to take it. How's their feral supply? 3 left? God, I love these rhinos. But, I don't know, opponent just got to add a permanent attacker, I guess. But soon I'll start doing that with my ferals, I think. Like, they're doing it again. I think it's worth taking this time, probably. They have enough attack that... Well, no, not with the Doom Drones. Okay. Ugh. Do I really have enough time to build a Tarsier? Just seems outrageous. It's gotta be crazy, right? Yeah, I need granularity here, I think. 6, 8, 11, yeah, this is fine. I'm not vulnerable to any exploits right now. I do wonder if, like, maybe some of these rhinos should have been ferals. And then, like, I would just be defending a bit more on this turn, on turns like this. Like, instead of having these 2 rhinos, if I didn't have them, but I had some more attack, wouldn't I be kind of okay? I don't know. So, they're probably losing an attack here, which means this feral probably lives. I'm happy with that. But you could do this, and that threatens to kill the feral, although I can keep it alive if I want to. Okay. I'm amazed opponents been able to keep up so long without Rhino tempo. But they've been, like, buying ferals, which are sort of better soaked than Rhinos, but also sort of not. I guess what I have is a big supply of green for when things go bad. This click does nothing, so I'm happy to sack this Rhino. Or possibly I should, like, sack this feral instead and get more health out of the deal. The feral might actually live. Ah, no, I should do this, because this still defends, and now I still have the Rhino click for next turn. Maybe I shouldn't be buying quite so many Engies, I should just buy one so that I can, like, double feral next turn. That would probably be better, instead of continuing to float red. It's a lot to think about for a 45-second game. Yeah, and my feral and Rhino both survive, which is nice. Are you gonna click my poly this turn? I can still hold one attacker for free, and it's gonna be the Rhino, of course. Because they only get to keep 3 health alive, which they can't do. Yeah, let's try this so next turn I can double feral. Poly double feral force field seems pretty great. And it's gonna be my last poly, actually. Yikes. The feral looks kind of dead at the moment. My feral and my Rhino both look a little dead, which is kind of sad. And I run out of polys before opponent, which is a pretty big deal, I think. But I've been accumulating attack over these turns with feral, I think. Right, like these 2 ferals are hard fought. On the other hand, I guess, opponent has had 16 permanent attack forever. I was just cycling Rhinos, and I've now finally caught up. Almost. To having 16 attack, even though I actually don't even have that. Ugh. That's kind of a bummer, isn't it? Well, that was the plan for this turn. Hard to do anything else at this point. Yeah, I guess they do need all those force fields. I threaten to keep 15 attack. Although you might want to call my bluff on that one. I don't think it's very realistic. Okay, things are getting pretty desperate now for both of us. Opponent has this sweet Rhino tempo. however. But I've got a lot more drones, but opponent has more green. No. It's wall time. This is making me very nervous and sad. I wish I could have found time to get a second conduit at some point. And I guess some of those rhinos I got, the earlier ones should have been ferals. Because, like, holy cow, how am I ever defending here? Like this, right? How can this be winning? No, loose wall. Yeah, this is like the last turn I live because of these ferals, I think. After this, I am pretty toast. Man! How did this happen? I guess I just got on the rhino train too soon. And, like, defense is obviously impossible at this point. Like, this is not gonna win. But it's the only play, so, well, this is better, I guess. Not by a lot, but it is better. No, they clearly have me. Okay. Ouch. Yeah, I mean... The graphs say that, like, that I was ahead in attack here, but I think that was sort of a myth because of, like, I was cycling rhinos. I was ahead in econ because of the Doom drones, and that fell off because I was relying more on Doom drones. The other possibility is that my opponent did a better job of droning up than I did. Like, that certainly happened. They droned up more. So, like, for example, maybe this Gauss cannon could have been drones or something. Doesn't seem like a good idea, though. Yeah, I think if there's one thing I could change in this game, like, it would be what I did with my green. If you, like, take a look at, just watch down here what's happening to the green numbers as we go through this game. It accumulated for a while, and it was, like, kind of nice to have it being banked up, but if it could have been producing attack for me for a while, I could have, I don't know. I still don't feel super great about that, like building Feral as just like a fast Tarsier. I thought that having access to the green would be nice, and it was. Like, all right, here's the turn. We can ignore, in fact, everything that happened like on these turns, and suppose that all I did was change some rhinos into ferals. This is the first turn when that change would have an impact, right? I can at this point ask myself, suppose that these two rhino bodies could be transmuted into Tarsier bodies instead, which is effectively what ferals are. And I have to pay 2 green for that privilege. That is, say, pay GG, not 2G. Would I do that? Well, first of all, it wouldn't be this turn, because this... Of course I would right now, because it breaches. So opponent would have had to find a different turn here. They couldn't just do this. They'd have to, like, hold the Doom Drone and not buy the NG, for example. And I guess... Yeah... I think I would make that trade, in fact. Because... I don't have to turn them into Tarsier bodies, because they still have 3 health. Right? If I want to, I can turn them into walls and just pay a green for the privilege. Or into Tarsiers and pay a green for the privilege. I have my choice. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Or, like, leave them as Tarsiers until you need them as walls? That's bonkers. Wow. I mean, what exactly would I do on this turn? If I could do that? Maybe one... I mean, I'm kind of short of green is the problem, right? If I pay 2 green to convert these two, then I'm down 4 health. I could pay a 3rd green to upgrade this Rhino into a Feral as well, or maybe some other ones in the past, probably. I would run out of green. I needed a time to get a 2nd conduit so that I could afford to buy Ferals in spots like that. It still doesn't... It feels good, but like I would run out of ways to defend if I were doing that. But maybe the fact that I'd be putting more pressure on opponent makes up for that. I'm not sure when I could have gotten another conduit. Like, everything I did seemed pretty important. I guess I was buying all these force fields while rhinoing. That's a lot more soak, because I get the 2 soak now and then 2 soak later. But it's less attack. And it's not even that much more than just getting a feral and like attacking with it a couple times and then soaking. And it costs more money and it costs a drone. Yeah, I think I really should have done more of what opponent was doing and just buy ferals as Tarsiers. Right, this is a slow game. That's why I tried to buy out the Tarsiers almost. You know, with the absorber and polywalls. And I think it's worth... Well... But if I were gonna buy Feral, Tarsier plus Gauss Charge, I think I should just buy Tarsier? Right? Like, the reason I didn't do that is because I wanted Soak 2 turns from now. And if I pick up the Feral, I can have Soak 2 turns from now, I guess. Or I can have a Tarsier 2 turns from now. That eventually turns into a wall, right? So I guess it seems like Feral, in a way... Well, no, because if I Feral, then... Okay, let's, like, this is a turn I was looking at, right? This is fine, but I just have no green next turn. Maybe I have to cut Doomy Engie for Conduit to get more green? But defending is still going to be really tough. I don't know. I think that, like, maybe the problem was earlier in the game. That opponent managed to get, like, all 10 Tarsiers somehow. Because they weren't buying ferals, which just seems awful to me. Like, how did this succeed? When, like, my feral play was obviously great. I don't know. I guess looking at it as them having 10 Tarsiers and me having 8 is silly. They have 10, and I have 10 when you count the ferals. Our Gauss cannons cancel out. My Gauss cannon cancels with his splitter. And, like... opponent has a bunch of ferals where I have a couple rhinos and a lot of doom drones. So I guess I was really, like, the difference is opponent is going for a pretty long game by getting these ferals and trying to treat them as rhinos, where I'm going for a short, as Tarsiers for a while, where I'm sort of set up for a shorter game, right? My econ is going to provide great soak via doom drones, but then peter out, whereas theirs is still climbing. My rhinos are going to provide short-term attack, but then peter out and provide great soak. They're still trying to build more Tarsiers. And this is a slow enough game that I think they're right to do that. Yeah. But maybe I'm also right to do this because of, like, I have a smaller econ. I don't know. It's hard to see where to fit in the adjustment that I need to make. Because, like... okay, I guess the other thing is maybe the Doom Drones were just bad. Maybe I just got them too early. Like, this one died giving me no value. Here on turn 5. But the other one was great, right? So, at most, one of my Doom Drones was early, and it helped me get, like, a lot of cool stuff. And other than that, I think my play up to at least the first 2 ferals is, like, perfect. According to the game plan that I had. Unless there's some kind of weird 4th NG line that I should have taken. I think this is the, like... except for that first Doom Drone that died without getting value, which maybe could be wrong, I think I really like everything else I did up to here. And again, maybe there was some 4th NG line, but ignoring those 2 possibilities, I like everything up to here a lot. Up to here, still really hard to argue with. The Gauss Cannon, I guess... I couldn't build drones. I'm spending the energy on Doomies, and that's great. I could cut the Gauss Cannon and the Doomies, buy 2 regular drones. Then I'd be floating 4. I could buy a 2nd conduit. It's hard to see that coming because I have, like, this excess green right now. But given how valuable green was later in the game, maybe that would have been a good improvement, right? Take this 1 attacker and short game focused econ and convert it to some long game focused econ instead, since attack's not that great this game, right? And as it turns out, I didn't even need this attacker, right? I could have... this turn, it didn't do any damage. Maybe opponent would have defended differently if I didn't have it, but this seems like a pretty comfortable defense for them, so I think they would try to do something similar. So this Gauss Cannon just didn't do much. I should have looked at this point at, like, what are they going to have left? Just a wall and a grid. That's 6. And a Doom Drone they can't do anything with. Don't add a 7th attack. So yeah, I think cutting this Gauss Cannon is the first big improvement I can find to my play. First clear improvement. The other 2 things I talked about are, I don't know, maybe clear to someone else, but not to me. And then, I don't know, I mean, we can look briefly at what that would look like. What? Okay. I thought I'd somehow pressed the wrong button. So say I do this instead, right? I've already forgotten what opponent did. Oh right, they held this, which they wouldn't do now. They got a splitter, Tarsiers, conduit, NGs? I don't know. Something like this. Nine damage. I guess that's just wall. Is that what happened in the game, or did they have 10 somehow? I don't think so. Now I can maybe finally throw in that Gauss cannon. I don't know, it's going to be pretty hard to see like where this would have gone. But we can try a few interesting things, I guess. I don't know. It's going to be too hard to analyze the impact of this. But it seems like an improvement anyway. What else? Anything after this I could have done better? Well, yeah, I mean, here we see the problem is that like I stopped droning and couldn't really continue droning while doing good stuff. Okay, well, there's kind of too many turns for me to look over at this point. So a few of those improvements to suggest would have made it easier for me to continue ferruling if I had gotten that conduit instead of the Gauss cannon. But it's really hard to find that when you're already floating 3 green. Like, really? I don't know. Okay, I guess that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.